Welcome, everybody. Between Two Wheels podcast. You're stuck inside. You are quarantined. We are going to try to give you some enjoyment. Paris-Nice, probably the last race, maybe the last race of the year of 2020. Maybe the last race ever. Well, I hope not. Paris-Nice, 8-day stage race. We are going to break down the last climb of the last stage of stage 7. And look, this was supposed to be an 8-day stage, but on the 13th, it came out and said after consultation with the relevant authorities, as the communique, the UCI, and the organizers of Paris-Nice have decided that the 7th stage finishing at Val d'Ibore will be the last of the race. The decision taken in part to fight against the spread of coronavirus means the final stage of Paris-Nice is now canceled. So therefore, we have the last stage going to be stage 7. A little bit of a battle. And what was the coming into that? Well, stage 6, the final results there, the GC going into there after stage 6, Max Schachmann, 36 seconds over Tiesj Benoot, Sergio Higuita of 101 with Max Grosschartner, Michael Matthews, Vincenzo Nibali, Rudy Millar, Thibaut Pinot, Tano Kanger, Julian Alaphilippe, Nairo at 2:38 down. So, well, let's get right into it. And what you have, 22K into it. You've got left to go. Minute 34, the break. Nicolas Hidé of Cofidis throwing shit out of his mouth. Not too excited about that. Thomas de Gendt looking to be good overall with his beard. Julian Alaphilippe, probably the best placed rider in this break. You've got Alberto Bettiol, EF Education, former winner of Classic last year. And Romain Bardet, the perennial climber of France, AG2R La Mondiale. You know, I don't know what his motivation is here. He's in the break, I think, just to be safe. He had lamented online and saying, I don't know why we're even doing this. Seems stupid to be out here riding and racing when the world is kind of in throws. Well, the world is beautiful as well, and this is where approximately the same spot. Michael Matthews isn't enjoying it so much, but same spot of where the last 3 stages, or the first 3 stages of the 2020 Tour de France were going to be. Thomas de Gendt takes off 15K. That's about the last part of the climb. He dispatched of all his component or his compartment, his climbing partners, and in the break, Julian Alaphilippe, not able to stay with him, decides better just to sit it up. You know, this is where he pretty much right there says, you know what, the overall for me is not in the books today. Arkea Siamsek, though, it is in the books for them, not for the overall, but for the stage win. They give him the thumbs up, big ringing it in here. Thomas de Gendt, 12K, 115 advantage over the chasers behind. And with the chasers behind, you've got several of them still with teammates. Julian Alaphilippe, last of the Deceuninck Quick-Stick rider, putting his little recycling in his pocket, taking it up to finish, hopefully to not have any virus in there. 9.8. 3 riders left for Trek Segafredo. On the front, though, is you're going to see Richie Porte working for Vincenzo Nibali. He's got the biggest. Grosschartner on the very back, finally about to be dispatched. And then you have Thomas de Gendt, 9.7, 1 minute, 30 seconds. He had increased it up over from the break. As you can see, there's the 4th and final climb, long one, Cat 1. Definitely is time. Richie Porte on the front, 4.8 for his leader, Vincenzo Nibali. Is this something you were going to see in the Tour this year? Is Richie Porte back into doing the work for the team like he did with Team Sky and Froome, and he was so good at? You know, the wonder from Wollonga, from Down Under. He's not from Wollonga, but he's an amazing rider from Down Under, and he always wins the Tour Down Under. Now he's out basically working for Nibali. Look, the Tour is not going to be on this year. Maybe. The Giro is not. Maybe. We don't know. So if things don't get squared around, the next thing you know, the Giro might be canceled totally. Then you're going to start looking at everyone trying to compile up for the Tour. And then maybe if that gets pushed, you might not see anybody until you're looking at the actual the Vuelta. So it would be interesting to see here what's going to happen with Richie Porte doing his work. He obviously was very fit at the beginning of the year with Down Under, but now he's doing it here for Vincenzo Nibali, who is in the better spot and position to help out overall. Look, Nairo, you can see right there, about 6 places back. He missed out on the early stage 1 or 2, got in a crash, so and I think Alaphilippe was as well, so they kind of missed out on the overall being able to be fighting for it. Schachmann looking good, Bora Hansgrohe, then Tiesj Benoot, second place, followed by Higuita, then Nairo, Millard, Pinot, Tano Kangert, Romain Bardet, and Guillaume Martin of Cofidis. Richie Porte, 4.1, still on the front, trying to bring back Thomas de Gendt, 43 seconds. I think there's no fear of Thomas necessarily. He would have to definitely get, 10 seconds or so every kilometer to the finish. That's more than likely going to happen with the infighting that you have here. But, if the infighting, look, someone wants to take out and do what you've done. You saw Nairo Quintanna here on the Tour of La Provence, being able to set out early and setting up a good time up the Mont Ventoux. That Mont Ventoux, same finish there that Thomas de Gendt had won over the year, I think, 2016. I've said this before, and I'm not sure on the date. That was the year that Chris Froome had to walk up on his shoes and do a little running there with the wreck with Richie Porte, who's also up here. Thomas de Gendt had ended up holding on to the win. They finished up at the Chalet that year. 3.8. 4K to go for the group coming in here, and Nairo decides to stick it. 3.8 for de Gendt, 4 kilometers for the main group, and they are setting out with the intent to, he said, okay, look, I got 2.5 minutes here. I need to take up, try to get the overall win. I don't know if that's possible, but his shake-up here tends to spit out Romain Bardet, it spits out Tano Kangert, spits out Rudy Millard, spits out Guillaume, it spits out also Richie Porte. And then you're left with just single riders here trying to fight it out to the finish. And, anytime you have that, they don't necessarily want to take the lead, or maybe they do, but they're going to want to try to fight back to get Nairo. Nairo's got nothing here but big ring and room in front of him. 30 seconds up to Thomas de Gendt, 3.5 kilometers, and he is closing that down quickly. Once again, you're going to see the attack here, pretty fierce, big ring. No one's really able to go. No one really wants to put in the effort. He's too far back on GC to worry about it too much, but also they can't just let him go. Nibali, Pinot, the two stalwarts there in the front group. Nibali with the former Grand Tour in the Giro and the Tour de France. Pinot having won stages in the Tour de France last year especially, had a great year until he hurt his knee. And had a chance maybe for the overall. Nairo bringing down the bearded Thomas de Gendt. De Gendt ends up posting his ride on Strava and puts up some ungodly power numbers there. He said it wasn't his biggest, but it was pretty stellar. 1.5K into the finish here, 45 seconds now for Nairo, kind of bleeding out his lead a little bit more. They've obviously kept him just within contention that they don't have to stress about it too much. Higuita sitting on the front, not sure what his point is here, except for maybe he's looking to get rid of some of the other riders, namely Tiesj Benoot. Higuita, great Tour of Colombia over Egan Bernal and his own Danny Martinez teammate there. He looked really good. He's in the, I don't know if this is the young rider jersey here, but you got Schachmann. Schachmann kind of unchallenged, unknown on long climbs. Tiesj Benoot, not one of those unchallenged or unknowns. He can take off. This is a long climb for him, though, as well. Former Strada Bianca winner 2 years ago, classics rider, and now he's showing what he can do in the mountains. So he's taken off with the hopes of getting out in front of Schachmann. Now, Schachmann had been given a little bit of a benefit with his wreck coming in stage 5 or 6 at the finish there. He wrecked in the last 3K. They ended up giving him the same time as the riders he was with. Questionable because it ends up allowing him to have a 36-second lead over Tiesj Benoot, which I think would have been about half that amount. And in the end, Schachmann's on the ropes here, and you've got Pinot, Nibali, the two guys that are the most known, but they're not necessarily in the better shape. Higuita and Schachmann are able to hold on. Schachmann's doing everything he can here to hold on so he can take the overall lead. You got several battles. One, Nairo Quintanna looking to be once again crowned one of the better climbers of his decade. Looking more like what he was back in 2016. It's having a great year so far. The great win on La Provence of the Mont Ventoux. He's having this stage here, which he's looking pretty well on as well. And it's too bad that the season is coming crashing down where we don't know where these riders. Same with Tiesj Benoot. Tiesj Benoot also looking amazing and riding one of his best races he's had in some years. A guy that's always up there and in the mix, but never really challenging. I wouldn't expect necessarily to see him Now, this race is a little bit diminished from all because the riders CCC went home, the Israel Cycling Academy, a bunch of teams basically either didn't show up or gone home earlier. So it's a little bit more of a depleted field. But come on, you've got Nairo Quintanna, Higuita, who's had a great time. Nairo coming in 4:27 with points to his bike, points to his jersey, pumps this air, kisses the sky, and Tiesj Benoot. Now, Tiesj's final fight is simply to get home and get 36 seconds. He's got a pretty good gap here over Schachmann, but oddly behind. Higuita coming to the help. He's not in danger of losing any more time to Tiesj. Tiesj is already ahead of him overall. So I'm not sure maybe he made an alliance with Schachmann. Maybe there's something that's going to be paid back later, but he decides to go to the front and do what he can to keep this gap down and close as possible. Benoot still looking wonderful, powering himself to the finish, able to get out of the saddle, sprint to the finish, coming in somewhere right around the 46 seconds to Nairo. Very acceptable. And then Pinot doing his classic kick at the end. Higuita able to do so as well. Nibali and Schachmann, mouth wide open, 58 seconds, gets the win for the overall, be able to save his Paris-Nice. And in the end, Nairo Quintanna, 46 seconds over Tiesj Benoot, 56 over Thibaut Pinot, with Higuita, Vincenzo Nibali coming in. They give a 2-second gap there to Max Schachmann, Guillaume Martin, Tano Kanger, Roman Bardet, Rudy Millard, and Thomas de Gendt, the hero of the day, out front all day, only losing 148 to the winner. Max Schachmann gets the overall win and be able to look. He might be one of our last winners for 2020. Max Schachmann. Check us out, by the way. We had a good interview with him at the Tour of California. Tiesj Benoot, stellar ride by the Sunweb rider. Sergio Higuita, EF Education First, running up the podium over Vincenzo Nibali, Thibaut Pinot, Nairo Quintanna, and all the rest. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Between Two Wheels podcast. Stay safe out there. Be well.